Today, for the next little while, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Riyadh, and we're talking about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I'm so thrilled to have with me on stage today Alison. And Alison and I have known each other for some time. Mm-hmm. And it's always a pleasure to have her on stage with me. Last year we talked about the rebranding, the renaming of Cenomi, and it was perfectly timed for the rest of the other parts of Saudi, and it was well done, so thank you. Today we're talking about the future plans of Cenomi, where things are at today, what the future holds, and no one better to really introduce us to all of that than Alison. So let me start just by saying a couple of things. It's right now in particularly Riyadh, but it's a great time to be in Saudi and Riyadh, but a time of great growth and great opportunity for all companies. But I think particularly it seems that Cenomi is at the lead of what we're speaking about today. What are you unlocking in Cenomi, specifically referring to Vision 2030?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having us, and thank you it's a pleasure to be here. Vision 2030, look, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few years, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is arguably one of the best places to be right now on earth, especially if you are in the shopping center industry. And it's underpinned by Vision 2030, which hopefully many of you or most of you know about. But there are three key pillars with Vision 2030. You have a thriving economy, you have a vibrant society, and you have an ambitious nation. And so for Cenomi, as the leader in shopping centers in the kingdom, we're trying to align ourselves with Vision 2030 and unlocking certain targets from those three pillars within our own strategy.
When I'm looking at it, when you think about thriving economy, and it's not everywhere where there is what we can call a thriving economy, but how is Cenomi in particular and the growth within the company and in the country? Tell us about what that means to Cenomi today.
Sure. Okay, for thriving economy, there's two main points. You have the diversification of the economy itself, and then you have the growth of the economy. And just a couple of points on what Saudi's doing today. You have part of this specific pillar, you have non-oil GDP that is aimed to grow from 16% when Vision 2030 was launched to over 50%. So it's diversifying outside of just oil, which is obviously a huge pillar in and of itself. Within Vision 2030 as well, there is a target to create over 50,000 jobs just in retail and food and beverage, which speaks directly to companies like ours. So for us, when we think about Vision 2030 and when we think about a thriving economy, it's really about diversification for us. And so today we have three projects in our pipeline. They're known as the Joharat projects, which for non-Arabic speakers is the word means jewel. So we call them the jewels. And we're taking, in terms of an alignment of this pillar, it's really important to understand that Saudi customer. That was just being discussed earlier. I heard Lee talking about really understanding who that Saudi customer is. They're incredibly well-traveled, they're well-educated, they've done a lot of their shopping outside, and now it's time to bring them home and create products that are sticky, meaning they stay, they want to be there. So these three projects that we're launching are completely different. We're diversifying how we are perceived and what we bring to the country. So it's a higher spec on design and finish. It's creating luxury flagship districts that don't exist today in the kingdom. It's a higher or a richer tenant mix that doesn't exist today, again, in the kingdom. A higher focus on entertainment, as well as leisure services. It's really about the customer experience. And I think Ibrahim was speaking earlier today. So, we're actually working with Portland solely on the customer experience and what that means in terms of the journey and for these jewels. So that's one of the ways we're trying to align with that specific pillar.
One of the other pillars that is available, part of the 2030 vision, it's called the Vibrant Society. And I know that when you and I were chatting before, you had suggested that the Vibrant Society pillar is probably your favorite pillar of the Vision 2030. But why is that?
It is my favorite pillar. It's my favorite pillar because the Vibrant Society focuses, I would say there's three key themes: women's rights and their participation in the economy, which is incredibly important, especially when you want to unlock that GDP. You need women participating in the economy. Health and well-being, and then creating environmentally responsible citizens. So when you look at last year, women in Saudi were the #1 entrepreneurs globally. So what I mean by that is the amount of new business that was created globally was led by Saudi women in 2022. So they are literally killing it. And that's, American slang for doing really well. The target in 2030, for Vision 2030, was to have 30% of the workforce be comprised of the female. Last year, it was 36%. Again, crushing targets left and right. So it's super exciting. And for Cenomi centers, we have about 30% of our workforce is female, but I have already stated publicly last year that we will increase those numbers in the years to come. And I'm happy to report that next month, we are launching our own Cenomi Women's Network. And it's not just about having a lunch once a month. I mean, we're bringing in speakers. We're going to be partnering with an edutech platform that focuses just on women in the MENA region. It's called Playbook. It's a fantastic education platform, education technological edutech platform. So in terms of vibrant society and this being my favorite pillar, that's one of the main reasons, as well as sustainability.
Well, it sounds like Cenomi's busy in that front for sure. And I think when it's your favorite, the Vibrant Society pillar, I know that there's going to be great news coming forward with that. So the next part of the pillar would be called sustainability. And Cenomi is a leader in sustainability, but tell us about your achievements so far and what the future may hold for Cenomi. And I think it relates specifically to your platforms as an element of a community.
Yes, okay, so as the leader, we have a responsibility to be a sustainability leader as well, but we're scratching the surface on that. It's still something new, it's still something that we're developing. We've done what I would consider small things, like stop plastic water bottles in the offices.
That's a big step.
It
By
is
the way, plastic water bottles is a huge step.
Yeah, this part of the world really likes plastic water bottles, but we've done things like that. We've done a test with solar panels on the roof of one of our malls in Riyadh. And hopefully, at the end of this year, I will be able to announce a strategic partnership that we are about to embark on with a global leader in renewable energy, where we're going to put solar panels on all of our roofs. We're going to put solar panels in most of our car parks. We're going to exchange the light bulbs for solar panel light bulbs, light poles. As well as adding EV stations into the car park. So we're really trying to take a major step forward in renewable energy as the leader. The jewels that I mentioned earlier, they're going to be built LEED certified. So we're really trying, and those things come at a cost, but we're really trying to take a step forward and be a leader in terms of sustainability.
So as a platform for the community, there's a number of different initiatives that Cenomi is undertaking. How and what are they going to be? These platforms in the communities that are, you had mentioned before in our conversation that Cenomi wanted to ensure that there was really more of a continuity of a community surrounding your centers.
So what I was referring to is still a part of that pillar. We are a large part of many communities in the kingdom. So we have 21 centers across the kingdom. We have 1.3 million square meters of GLA. And today, we service 80% of the Saudi population, so we have quite a bit of reach. And so part of that is about education and a corporate social responsibility platform where we use our centers and we use that platform to educate, whether it's on the circular economy, on reduce, recycle, reuse. But these are concepts that need to be not just concepts anymore. They need to be brought to the communities. People need to understand what it means to be an environmentally responsible citizen. And it's our job and it's our duty to help with that.
One of the things that we were chatting about earlier too was a huge initiative inside Cenomi that was to do with real time and transparency and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Do you want to follow along in that conversation?
Sure. That leads us conveniently to the third pillar.
There you go.
Yeah, an ambitious nation. So an ambitious nation, I would say the two key points there would be digitalization, and it's the goal of the Saudi government to have basically an e-government by the time they get through this. And I think they're already 97% complete on converting most of their systems into digital systems. So it's incredible. If you've traveled to Saudi and you've done the e-visa, you know how easy it is. And then there's also a sense of community. So they are building, and I think Conrad is, I don't know if Conrad's in the office, but he's in the audience, but I know he's here. There's the Saudi Downtown Corporation. They're building 12 new downtowns for their communities so that people have a sense of community, a sense of place, better service, connection. So it's super exciting. For us, in terms of aligning with that last pillar, it's really about digitalization. We're looking at every single way possible, within means and within reason, to digitize what we're doing, whether that's using existing platforms and unlocking further modules to automate further, creating a portal for tenants so that we're a better client and a better service provider and partner to our tenants, as well as, hopefully at the end of this year, we're going to be launching digital dashboards. So it'll be our own internal dashboards that will communicate with the entire company so they understand how we're doing, how we're tracking, creating that transparency. So it's no longer a black box of what we're doing. Like they will know in real time our occupancy, our stock price, how we're progressing on goals and targets. It's quite exciting.
How has the Cenomi team been to adopt this kind of new transparency and digitization? Are they on board for it, I'm asking?
I believe they're on board for it. We're in the middle of the country's in the middle of a transformation, and Cenomi's also in the middle of a transformation. So, most are on board and want to get on the train and move forward, but there's always, some change is scary. So, there are some that are a little hesitant to board onto the train, but we'll get them there.
Sounds great. Are there any questions that anyone might have for us on stage while we have her here? Otherwise, we've checked the boxes that we wanted to discuss today, and I've had a wonderful time preparing for this with you, Alison, and also learning more about what Cenomi is going to be doing in the next foreseeable future. I would like to invite you back again next year to find out how things have evolved, particularly with respect to the employment of the females in Saudi. And I know my experience there as well. I found, generally speaking, that the Saudi women were keener and more ambitious than many of the men. Have you found that?
I have a workforce of men and women, so I don't want to have
of course.
here.
I mean, I'm not going to put you in the corner on this one.
No, this is what I will say. I've had enough men in the company, both Saudi and non-Saudi, comment on how eager, ambitious, and capable our Saudi females are. And so I'm really proud of that. We are looking to bring more Saudi females to the company as well. It's a really exciting time. I think there's a lot that they need to prove as well.
I think that's part of it. I think also one of the statistics that I've learned when I was spending time more recently in Saudi was the number of women who have a university degree versus the male counterparts of the similar age profile. And I'm finding that statistically, the women are probably twice as likely to have a university degree. Is that what you're finding?
Well, sometimes it's not even a university degree, it's a master's degree. There are
That's
so
my
many
point.
that have an additional degree. It's extraordinary. I said that earlier, well-educated, well-traveled.